You know what it is. Welcome to the best coast. Yo, it's Bronze Age nerd with that collecting elite. Big B McFly steady bringing the vintage heat. Pull up a seat, we diving in the stacks. Silver to the bronze, got the knowledge on tap. From Kirby's Kings to the mutants, wow. We breaking it down in that laid back style. So grab your snacks, let the panels unfold. This is comic book chilling with the stories we told. Comic book vibes, we flipping them pages. Legends and lore from all the ages. Golden to the modern, we talk that news. With Big B McFly and the nerd cut loose. Yo, you tune into that Bronze Age flow. Where comics live and legends grow. Big B McFly in the cut, let's fly. Best coast, baby, comics are what saved me. Big, yeah. Baby, comics are what saved me.
Hey, what's up? It is Best Coast Comics. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd. I'm joined as usual by my co-host,
Neil Armstrong.
straight from the moon. Hey, congratulations, by the way.
Big B McFly.
Oh, okay. One giant leap for a Big B. And we do have an extra talking head on the screen. We have a special guest that we wanted to welcome to the show. Somebody who can come in and talk a little bit about our main topic tonight, which is going to be talking about Canadian whites and the last time tariffs really affected comic books in a major way. Everybody welcome Alan, the Comic Collector Geek. What's up, Alan?
Hey, guys. I liked your intro thing. That was kind of interesting. Much sexier than I expected. It was pretty cute.
Yeah, we try to kind of cover all the bases that we like on the show, and then all the West Coast kind of things we're known for, beaches and waterfronts and forests and all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, it's good times. Well, welcome back to the show. This is your second time on. You were on to talk about your Kickstarter before, but we welcome you back to be our kind of subject matter expert here. Before we dive into the subject and kind of the stuff we've been up to, we definitely want to take a second to just shout out that we're streaming on a few different channels. You can watch us on the Bronze Age Nerd YouTube channel. It's my channel. Big B McFly's channel, and also over on the EXP. Those are three awesome channels that I highly recommend you subscribe to check out all the awesome content they deliver. And all the links for those descriptions, as well as for Comic Collector Geek's channel, is in the description below. If you want to go check that out, we'd appreciate it. Let's see who's in the chat. We got Derek coming in first on our never-ending battle to see who's going to be our first comment. Derek is upstaged, longtime winner GT Key comic. We got Richard bringing up that bronze medal, that all-important bronze medal. We appreciate that. Comic Tropes in the house. He's been researching Canadian whites. Researching a Canadian whites episode, but you beat me to it. Oh, for once we were first, Comic Tropes.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
And we brought our favorite Canadian white with us too.
Yes, we win because
I'm not
we literally
quite from
brought
that
one.
era, but close.
But you're Canadian and you're white, so
Yeah, that's all that matters.
that qualifies.
The chat's covering my face completely. That's funny. Oh, that's awesome. And I got Lyle in the house. What's up, Lyle?
Hey, Lyle.
Hydra Asylum Comics, folks. Go check out Hydra Asylum Comics. If you don't know, that's one of the members of Hydra Asylum Comics is our producer Jay on this show, who's with us right now, helping us out backstage. We appreciate everything he does, of course, and so go check out his channel. Also, Mr. Science Snake, so we can officially start experimenting, getting the science down. We've been sanctioned by the snakes. Well, yeah, so this is that part of the show where we basically kind of just get caught up on how the week's been, try to live through us and see what we're reading, collecting, watching. We love to hear about that in the chat too, for what you guys have been up to, so definitely let us know. I think I started last week, so why don't we switch things up and let Alan tell us about what he's been reading, watching, collecting, and been up to over the last week, since he's our guest.
I've been actually watching a bunch of auctions. I seem to be finding random stuff that prevents me from being fiscally responsible.
Oh no.
So I just picked up a 4-color 16, which is kind of a cool little book. First Mickey Mouse in comics.
Oh.
Wow.
And
I picked up a horrific number 3 as well, which is the bullet to the brain one.
Yeah.
So it's just It just seems like all the books that I want just magically appear, and I'm like, oh, but I'm really trying to cut back. I'm really trying. Don't tempt me. Like, and I just end up buying all these books that I like. So yeah.
By the way, I just have to say real fast for those that don't know Comic Collector Geek or his channel, he has an absolutely amazing collection, especially if you're into the truly harder to find or more desirable, like Golden Age, really kind of different, unique stuff. And he's always, sharing that on his channel. So if you're into that kind of collecting of that rarities, the kind of really truly harder to find stuff, not just the same stuff you see on every channel, which they're awesome books, but you've seen a million ASM 300s and Hulk 181s and all those kinds of things. Probably most of the books I'm going to show off tonight. But if you like that kind of stuff, definitely go give him a follow, because that stuff he's talking about, he's got some amazing comic books. And I love that you share it with us, man. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no problem. I like sharing, so.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other major pickups then that you've
so those were some of the bigger ones. I just got a whole bunch of stuff. Like I got a bunch of books from Comic Link, where it was like I just got the order in. It was like some early Fox featured Syndicate stuff and some Margies and a first appearance of Vandal Savage.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like from the Golden Age.
Yeah. Big flash villain. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do like a book club, so I get influenced by my book club to pick up certain key books. So I yeah.
Nice. Any like you've been watching any good movies or checking out any like nerdy TV shows or anything like that, or?
Actually, last thing I've been watching was like anime. So
right on.
Yeah, I watch a lot of anime.
So I've been trying to get into anime, and I'm very much a beginner when it comes to anime. Do you have any that you've been watching recently you recommend for somebody who's into kind of the more science fiction and action style anime? Or, I like
the one that I really like is from Korea. Actually, it's a title called Solo Leveling.
Okay,
it's really good.
Nice.
And what was what's some other ones that you might like? I don't know. Right now they're into isekai, or what is it? Isekai, which is like where you die and then you get reborn in some other world, and you have like superpowers basically, and you're that's kind of like the popular trend right now in anime.
Okay.
So there's like so many like that where where they're kind of being reborn and stuff. So one of the ones that I kind of liked was like it's kind of an interesting one that was really, really slow. Where it's like but it gets better as it goes. It like, and most start out well, then kind of get worse. This one kind of started out slow, then got much better. It's called Magic Maker, and it's about a guy who dies a virgin, thinking that if you can stay virgin long enough, you'll get magic powers. And then
as we all do.
Yeah, as you do, as we all do. And then he dies, and then he's born into a world where there's no magic. He's like, oh, but I can make magic, and he brings magic to a world, and he actually creates magic. And so at first he's like just kind of like barely, like he can create like a little spark or something. It's really primitive magic, but then he gets more and more elaborate in the spells, and he kind of develops the whole thing. It's quite cool. Yeah. So those are a couple that I'd recommend: Solo Leveling and Magic Maker. They're pretty good.
Nice. No, I appreciate it. Like Comic Tropes was just in your recommended Cowboy Bebop, which I mean that's on my list, on my short list.
The anime is good, but the live action is terrible.
I've heard avoid the live action. I know it has its fans, but I think they were mostly not originally fans of the anime.
Yeah,
from what I understand.
I enjoyed the live action, but I like the anime too.
I feel like we might have troll version of Comic Tropes in the audience tonight with Tentacle Attack 74.
Yeah, it seems a little weird.
So many
that seems like a bit of a not meant for kids one.
I prefer Tentacle Attack 69.
Attack on Titan is a good one. If you ever want to see another good one.
That one's on my queue. Yeah, Cowboy Bebop, Attack on Titan, and Full Metal Alchemist. I mean, those are like classics,
Full Metal Alchemist I thought was a little weak. Like I like Fairy Tail. That's another one you might like.
All right.
The earlier seasons are good. And And then what's it called? What's it called? What's the one with the Ronins, the Shonins?
I love how you're asking me.
Oh my goodness, what's the name? Oh my goodness, my son's gonna kill me. Yeah, it's like many episodes. One Piece is another one. That's a good one.
So I did watch the live action One Piece.
Live action was good.
Yeah, and I know that it's a fraction of the story, right? But
they condense it, right? So
yeah. Unless you've been a fan for 20 plus years, yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. By the way, hello. I've kind of been highlighting y'all as we've been chatting. We do appreciate y'all being here. I hope you're going to enjoy the conversation we're going to get to here in a little bit about our main topic about Canadian whites,
which is very opposite of anime.
Yes.
Different direction.
Right. Absolutely. Awesome. How about you, Brian? What have you been absorbing recently? What kind of stuff you've been into?
Really been. I was kind of busy this weekend. I've picked up 2 small weird collections. And cool. I'm just watching a little bit of Big Bang Theory. Filling in the gaps here and there. Not a lot of reading going on right now. So, for sure. Got a couple of videos on the small collections.
Yeah. If you want to check out those collections he picked up, he did a couple cool videos about showing them off. Well, I shouldn't say a couple cool videos. I only watched the first one so far. I was too busy yesterday to watch the second one, but it's on.
So cool that he claimed a few books off of them. I mean,
right.
The last one I saw was you had all the classic comics, the Classics Illustrated one. Did you pick up another collection since?
Oh yeah, no, there were a couple collections. The local game store calls me whenever comics come in, and so I went by there. They had no idea what was going to be there, and neither did I. So it was kind of odd. It was like more recent stuff, but then the second time was even weirder because there was anime and DVDs and all kinds of electronics gadgets. And
that's cool.
Really weird. So
yeah.
Overwatch keychains.
Yeah, Overwatch keychains.
But I mean, it's cool because it's the source it's coming from. You never know what they're going to bring your way.
Yeah, it's a fella who does storage units in the state sales and stuff, and so
that's cool.
He's like, I never know what he's going to uncover. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, what you need to find is like the Nicolas Cage,
right?
Like storage unit. You know what I mean?
Like the Declaration of Independence with a map on the back.
Yeah.
Let's see, what have I been up to? So I picked up some stuff, and like I think maybe towards the end of the show, maybe we can kind of show off some books or whatever. I don't want to just be the endless show off book channel or whatever, but I know people kind of either love that or hate that. So yeah, well, I mean, and that's totally fair. I just know if we take too long to get to our main topic, people will get restless. So maybe afterwards we can do that. I did pick up some cool stuff. Shout out to Space Cadet Comics, which is one of the shows that runs on the EXP, by the way. So if you want to, subscribe to that channel, there's a lot of good claim sales on there, including Space Cadets, which is Miss Jen, very long time store out of Texas, always running through new collections and kind of showing us the stuff they pick up. And I got some stuff from Dynamic Forces over on the EXP as well. And then I picked up something on an eBay auction. So some cool stuff to show off later, some kind of teasing stuff. I'll say I got a kind of a big Dave Stevens key. And then this weekend actually I did like non-comic book stuff. Saturday, my daughter is in kindergarten. She got invited to like her first like classmate birthday party. So we went to a park and did that for a good chunk of the day. And then yesterday I just hung out with some of my old friends, and we ended up watching, we're kind of near Portland, so we watched the Portland Timbers soccer game. And we just hung out all day and had some good food and stuff and got to catch up, which we don't get to do very often. So that was really fun. And then I've just been dealing with broken chairs, which I'm on like my dining room chair, so my butt's like falling asleep, and I hate it because I'm waiting for a new chair to show up, and broken cars and everything else is broken, but that stuff was fun.
Okay.
I've got a question from Comic Trips before we get to our topic here. Have you ever been so disappointed in the condition of a comic you're looking to buy that you flip over a table or attack beloved family members?
No.
Only once or twice.
Only a couple times? Well,
yeah.
You have much more self-control than I do. I turned into the Red Hulk and I just smashed the entire comic store. No, I have I know he's mostly kidding, but to kind of seriously answer the question, the biggest thing I can think of, I saw a really crispy copy. I hate that term, but I'm using it for some reason, of G.I. Joe 21, which is the silent issue, first appearance of Storm Shadow. And that's kind of, this was during, it was like 2019. So it was right before things got really crazy, but the comic market was kind of heating up. And so that book was kind of rising a little bit, and I really wanted to grab a copy because I'm a big G.I. Joe fan. And I'd sold my copy several years back, and there was this really nice copy, and I ordered it. It was a great price. I was one of the best bidders in the auction. You know, I was obviously the high bidder on the auction, but it was a good low bid, so I won. And I was so excited to get it, and the seller shipped it in a manila envelope.
Oh no!
I can board it, but that's it. And so that thing got. It didn't get absolutely torn to shreds. I think I ended up grading it because I just wanted a graded copy to go next to my G.I. Joe 1, basically. And so it ended up getting like a 7.5.
Oh, that's not it was too bad.
For that book, it's not awful, but it was probably more like a 9.4.
Ouch.
I did get like a partial refund from the seller and all that, but it's just, it doesn't, you can't fix, color breaking spine ticks or something like that. So there's no getting around that. That made me pretty mad, just because it's like, it's clearly somebody who sold comic books, and to not use anything to protect the comic book. It's in the bag and board. What?
I've had people where they sent it and they actually put it in a board, like the proper, semi hard board. And then the people at the post office think, oh, we'll just stuff it into the mailbox, and they bend it.
Oh no.
So yeah, I've had that happen. It's like, okay.
Yeah, this was like because I have a PO box, and I have one of the larger, not like the biggest PO box you can have, but for my post office, it's like the medium sized PO box.
Yeah.
And so it basically had like a U in it.
Yeah.
But I think it had just gotten bent, in the mail sorting process before that, of course. But yeah, that's
kills the comic. Rough. Yeah.
It kills. This hurts comic books, folks.
Don't do this.
Or a Werewolf by Night 32 for less than $1. I don't get that. I don't get that reference.
Yeah, Lyle picked up a Werewolf by Night 32 for, I think it was like 38 cents Canadian.
Oh wow.
Canadian.
Congrats, Lyle.
Was that is that a 20?
That's about 25 cents US. So he basically picked it up for cover price.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's insane.
He got some crazy collection where it's like a whole bunch of books cheaply.
There you go.
Well, yeah, that's the part I didn't get to. I basically just grabbed both of them and I just swung them around like a windmill, and I didn't care what they hit. Okay, I think we got most of the comments there. Awesome. So again, I'll show off some of that stuff. I think Alan might have some stuff to show off. He usually has great stuff within reach. I'm sure by then maybe Big B might have a book within his hand or something like that. Maybe not. I don't know. You're not near your comics, are you?
I have some. I'm surrounded by comics. Okay. I don't have anything that came in the mail this week or anything.
Gotcha. So this is a fun topic for me because I was completely ignorant of this topic before. This was shout out to Big B. This was his idea to run this as a show.
I get the blame.
Yeah. And I hadn't heard about this before. So this is awesome for me because I feel like I'm going to get some education here and kind of learn a little bit. But I also want to just kind of do a blanket disclaimer. It's not that we're not going to be afraid to shy away from talking about tariffs, because tariffs tie into this story. That's the impetus for the topic. I just want to point out that we're not necessarily trying to make this super political about the tariffs going on now and all that kind of situation. If it comes up, it comes up. That's fine. Yeah. But this is history. And what's the classic saying? If those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. Right. So we're kind of just talking about something it's kind of relevant because tariffs are in the news right now, or were at least for a while. It feels like it's kind of dying down. And I think it's just a fun thing. When Bigby brought it up, I couldn't wait to talk about it. And we had to bring in somebody who is Canadian. We had to get the Canadian perspective here. We believe in hearing both sides.
It's funny. I got first introduced to it by Americans that collected Canadian ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So they were like, "Hey, do you have any up there?" kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I hit up a few of my Canadian friends that are like, YouTubers or whatever, because I was looking for some Canadian. I really want an Alpha Flight 1 Canadian price variant. because I think that's
okay.
a fun book to
That'd
have.
be,
You know,
yeah, that's kind of a, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So like, I've kind of hit him up looking for a couple books, like, or some of the GI Joe books, just because there's a lot of them in that kind of sweet spot for that run. But yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, I got to hear about this. But when it comes to Canadian whites, first of all, we got to explain what that is. So, Bigby, this was your topic idea. Do you want to kind of explain to us what Canadian whites are? Because I'm sure some people are like, huh?
So the expert on this is going to be Alan, but Alan, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure,
but,
sure.
During World War II era, there were tariffs put in place between U.S. and Canada on paper goods, and so a lot of times the printing plates, right, were shipped to Canada to print the books, and they didn't always use all of the color plates. They would print them in black and white on the inside and replace a lot of the ads with black and white ads.
Kind of, but not quite. So
okay, give me the
it was way more extreme than that. So tariffs are just like fees that are put on imports, right? Well, this was actually way beyond that. So what we had was the War Exchange Conservation Act, okay? And what was happening was, what they were worried about was they wanted to really focus on the war effort in Canada. Okay, so they wanted to basically stop all kind of like non-essential imports into the country. Get everyone focused just on the war effort, things that are essential. That's, have everyone focused on that. So umbrellas, you weren't allowed to bring US umbrellas into Canada. You weren't allowed to bring certain weird items, like non-essentials, basically, into the country. So it wasn't a tariff even, it was just a sheer ban on US goods into Canada. And comics were part of that ban. So printed materials, books, comics were not allowed into the country. What that did, though, and part of the reason they did this was to try to foster the local economy, right? Like, it was very protectionist, like, so that Canada could focus on its own thing and really support the war effort. So what ended up happening was several companies got created that started producing comics in Canada. And one of them was Anglo-American. Another is Maple Leaf Comics and Superior Comics. And one of the more famous ones is Bell Features. So those were the kind of the four big ones. They were mostly out of Toronto. And they were, they were the ones that kind of produced everything. Now, you were right about the bringing the plates in. What they would do is they would get the licensing rights to print in Canada, but so they would print it in Canada, but they would like they would do like color or two-tone color covers, and then white interior, black black ink on white background interiors. That's why the Canadian whites, because they were black and white comics.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So white pages.
White pages.
White pages. Now, the problem with the Canadian whites was Canadians are like, I don't know why, we produce all the paper. We actually produce paper, but for some reason, when we do it for ourselves, we cheap out, and it's like toilet paper. It's that kind of quality of paper. So the books, for the most part, are fairly rare because they just fall apart. The quality of paper is just really not there.
So they're like one-ply comic books, basically.
Yeah, basically one-ply. And they're good for wiping, and but yeah, no, they're just it just the quality isn't there, and they just disintegrated. Now there were some that were better quality than others, but there was a lot that were lost as a result. And so you'll find that some of the Canadian whites, there might be only 4 known copies to exist, kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really
do
rare.
Were the print runs generally lower because of the general war effort and the economy at the time too?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was obviously we usually, the difference in population between Canada and the United States is about 1/10, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the rule of thumb. So if you think about it back in that time, that era, it's going to be a much smaller population. So already the print runs are lower. But you probably had like maybe 50,000 being produced, or 100,000. Because it's at the time, which is actually considered quite a lot compared to what we produce now. But that is compared to the Americans, who are producing 1 to 2 million comics of the same time. And we think about like Superman 1 is a great example. where Superman 1 had multiple printings. Most people don't realize that, but Superman 1 had multiple printings, and it was probably 2 to 3 million were produced. Okay?
Across all printings?
Yeah, across all the printings.
Yeah.
How many survived? Like 70? Like 70? So it's just like, so then if you think about it, if you're dealing with even smaller print runs in Canada on crappier paper, just the survival rate was, and a lot of stuff being, pulped for the war effort as well. The survival rate was just next to nothing.
That's a cool find, Lyle. Captain Marvel 1945 that many collectors claimed did not exist, but you found it. That's cool.
Yeah. And that's what that's why Canadian whites are kind of cool, because you'll find that every so often one will appear that nobody really knows exists, and people go, "Oh, this." I have one that's kind of like that, where it's like it didn't exist until somebody found it. It's just, that's how rare they are. It's cool. A really odd collectible.
Well, and it really, like, the first thing I thought about when I did not do a ton of research on this, because I just figured I'd leave it up to the experts a little bit when it comes to this. But one of the things I did notice, it kind of reminds me of this thing that comes up where it always bothers me a little bit when people call certain comic books rare, and they conflate rarity with, what should be value, and they forget that, things have to also be kind of in demand. But when you think about rarity, when it comes to any comic book, pretty much any comic book, except for a few indies after like 1960, they're not usually actually rare. Like, there's usually a lot of them out there.
So the way I always think about it is, I kind of use the Gerber method. The Gerber, if you think about the Gerber photojournals, right? They'd have like a scarcity index from 1 all the way up to 11 or whatever it was, and the higher the number, the more rare it is. Like, I think 11 is like non-existent. It's like lost to time or whatever.
Yeah.
Rare is like a 9 or something, 8 or 9. Like scarce is one step lower, where it's a little bit easier to find, but rare is like less than 10 to 20 copies.
Right.
So that's gives you a real tangible number. When you say rare, it means this number of comics exist. Most of the Canadian whites kind of fit into that rare category.
Wow.
Maybe even very rare, where they're just almost non-existent, right? There are some that are actually common, though, which is weird. There's some that, like, I wouldn't say common, but
relatively,
there's more of them out there. I guess it goes common then uncommon. Like, it's like, that's actually like a designation.
Yeah.
Like, they're more in that one level lower than uncommon. I forgot what that is. It's not scarce, but it's like maybe it's scarce, or there's like some in between. I forgot what it is. But
gotcha.
I picked up I forgot to bring it for tonight, but I picked up a Canadian white Jughead from you, #1. Right?
That's not a Canadian white. It's just a Canadian printing.
Yeah, so there's only like 4 known on the census, right?
Yeah, it's insanely rare. That's like a really rare book, and it's such a key book too. So yeah.
Shout out to Richard real fast, who says, I think we should end the show, as we, the chat, are clearly not mature enough to handle this topic. Hey, folks, we love approaching everything with some humor. I think we're all being awesome. I know Richard's kidding, but hey, I appreciate everybody in there not getting too wily.
I'm not too mature either, so don't worry.
You're in good hands.
We gotta find a way to shoehorn Sydney Sweeney in there, and then we'll be all good.
I'm sorry. Did you say Sydney Sweeney?
I did say Sydney Sweeney.
Their own show.
Sydney Sweeney is the running joke on our show there.
I get that. Yeah. I guess she's going to be the Black Cat or something, maybe. I'm not sure.
That's the rumor. There's rumors. Emma Frost. I've heard those rumors too.
I think Black Cat would make sense.
I think Black Cat is a more fitting one than Emma Frost. She doesn't have the gravitas
She's
for
not
Emma Frost to me.
She's
Right.
too cute to be the sexy of Emma
Yeah.
Frost, but
Because
she is
Emma Frost
sexy,
is more
but,
of a
you know,
femme fatale.
yeah, yeah. See
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, you know,
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Folks, I hope you're having fun with the new drops we created and the new intros and all that kind of stuff. I know I had fun editing that one. See, we're very mature here, folks. That's what I
Very,
wanted
very
to
mature. Very mature.
No, but I
Well-
just kind of wanted to take a second to highlight some of the chat that did come through. I know Comic Tropes is saying that he'd like to find a Canadian White era copy of Nelvana someday.
I will
was
be
just going to say
showing
that
some.
there's some
Yeah, I'll be
there's some
showing.
characters that were specifically created for Canadian books, right?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. There was a few that are actually precursors to the female superheroes, and Nelvana is one of them. She was
Right
out
on.
before Wonder Woman.
She's a Nelvana of the Northern Lights, is that right?
Yep, Nelvana of the Northern Lights.
Cool bring up. And then this was interesting. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on this, Alan. No Canadian Whites printed in French. Is that generally what you've seen?
I haven't seen any French ones. Maybe that's because most of the Canadian Whites were printed out of Toronto.
Makes sense.
So yeah, so
Not from Quebec or something like that.
Yeah.
So I saw on
but I know
West
that there
Coast
must
Avengers.
be French ones somewhere. I think there has to be.
West Coast Avengers just bought a collection of Golden Age books that are all foreign printed. So some of them are Canadian, some of them are Australian, some of them are printed in French. I don't know where in the mix those all fall, but
Some of them
it
were
was
printed
really
in
interesting
Florida.
collection he got.
I actually do have a French comic that was printed in the era of the Canadian Whites. But it's
A French language Canadian comic?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
French
okay.
language Canadian comic. It's
Okay.
extremely rare. I think there's only 4 known copies, and it's just it's a cool book. It's
Cool.
It's like the communist one. You know the
Oh yeah,
This
This
is
is
tomorrow? Yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah.
Is this tomorrow? Yeah,
Is this
yeah. But
tomorrow?
the French version of that, which
Right.
is cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The anti-propaganda.
Yeah, it's anti-communist propaganda book. Yeah. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there's some pretty cool things.
She does have gravitas.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I just really wanted to take an extra second here. Just to, that was a comment from Alex Comics, which I've highlighted your comment, but didn't get a chance to say hi. I also wanted to shout out. He wouldn't know that we would have highlighted his comment. Shout out to Awesome Sauce Radio. Thanks for holding it down over there on our East Coast. Oh, that's awesome, Ozzy. They were printed 15 minutes from where you live.
All right.
That's cool. That's cool. I like Richard's new comment. That's what Alan's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Canada started this trade. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much where we're going with
That's
this.
where we're going.
Yeah,
with it.
basically,
That's the
we
third act.
did start it. In this case, we did start it. It was like
You started it.
They started this fire.
Yeah. We did a bunch of stupid things actually in this case. This was a stupid one. And then actually soon after, like the Canadian Whites only lasted from 1941 to 1947. But soon after we kind of banned comics altogether. It was like we went through this other weird thing that we did. Where actually comics were illegal until I think 2015 or 2017.
What?
Like technically illegal or
Technically illegal.
but like still in circulation, obviously.
No, well, yeah, obviously, obviously we've had comics all that time.
Yeah.
But so what it was is there was a weird thing where you know how crime comics, like everyone, if you're familiar with Seduction of the Innocent,
Right.
Crime comics were really popular in the 40s to the 50s, right?
Right.
There was some kids that sort of mimicked some, incident that happened in a comic. And there was so much outrage about that. They were like, oh, crime comics are destroying the minds of the youth and blah, blah, blah. And so they basically outlawed any comic that showed crime.
Wow.
Well, that's every superhero comic.
Yeah.
And that's every, so they basically, that was from 1953 all the way up to, as I said, I think 2017, I think is the era.
So like you guys had like a comic convention up there and they would just swoop in and arrest everybody?
Raid.
So there was the funny thing is it was never truly enforced. There was a couple cases where it got enforced, but it was like more like sort of like maybe hyper violent or hypersexual books that were part of the they used it as like, oh, we can crack down when we want. It was nobody really did it, but it was like, and
it was to give them permission in case something like really gratuitous was printed or something, maybe.
Yeah, but technically, even if you had like a Superman book in the 70s, you could go to jail. Technically,
that's so crazy.
It's which is stupid, but yeah.
Well, it's crazy because I remember I heard about that incident where those kids copied that. It was crazy. So this one kid, what he did is he dressed up as a bat, and he would go out into the city and fight crime.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was like, I thought it was really buying into this.
Okay.
What, Bronze? You're not usually the trolling type.
But yeah, so yeah, there's been a couple weird things like that. But back to Canadian whites. Some of the more famous characters is Nelvana. There's Johnny Canuck, which is kind of a very maple syrupy name. There's Brock Winsner and Canada Jack. Those are the kind of the big four Canadian characters. Cool. And they actually made stamps with those characters at one point in Canada, like just to celebrate the cool Canadian characters.
Nice.
So
yeah. Oh my gosh, Travis.
What?
So this is our producer Jay commenting backstage. He said Comic Tropes is rubbing off on you, Ban. And then Comic Tropes said, I do whenever he sleeps. I am the one who knocks, Chris. That's right. No, that he meant that way. That's what he meant. People don't know this, but shout out to Chris over there at Comic Tropes. He does a show on Monday nights as well before our show on his second channel called Comic Tropes After Dark. And it's a great show. I highly recommend watch. He does kind of similar to what we do a lot of times, where he recaps news or talks about anything that's going on, shows off his pickups, and does some art sometimes too, talks to the chat. But obviously that's his Comic Tropes After Dark show, right? And then he comes here after that, and this is like his late night show where he comes and does all the dirty stuff, apparently. And we love it. It's great.
He trolls this channel.
Yeah, he does. Comic Tropes in the dark.
I love it. Sorry, I keep interrupting, but chat's it's just on fire over here. So
that's cool. That's cool. So I can show some stuff.
Yes, that'd be great.
Like. Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make you the featured presenter here, so we can kind of see a little bit better.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you what most people think of when they think of a Canadian white and what they look like.
I see that right now, actually. Yes.
Yeah. So this is like a one that they did of Wiz, and it's like see how it's like the two-tone.
Yeah.
And the reason I picked this one up was, well, I like getting a Canadian white, but also it's very much in my good girl kind of style.
Yeah.
And there's no actually good girl Wiz covers. This is a different cover than what you would have gotten in the US comics. I don't think there's like a comparative, like where there's
interesting. So they did original
this is
covers
a unique
too.
Cover. Yeah.
Unique to cover. Canada. Okay.
Yeah. Did all the Canadian covers that were did they have? Okay.
Some were like just reprints of the American one with the two tones, but there are a lot that are this kind of unique cover.
That's awesome.
And you can see, like, I'm not sure if you can see, but the paper is like it's like really, really thin. And then you'd have these kind of black and white. This is what the backs would look like.
Yeah.
Like
did they ever do the two-tone, like the same color that was on the front part of the cover wrap? Did that ever?
Not really. Usually it's like the black and white backs.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is what most people think. And this is from Double A Comics, which is like Anglo-American.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That was the best Freudian slip of all time, by the way.
Yeah, that was because you guys are influencing me here. Okay, so
we tried.
Okay, so and we have so that's like from 1944, and this is after the war, but you can still see the war influence. This is another title. This is also from Anglo-American, and this is Grand Slam Comics. But you can see like how they depicted the Japanese.
Yeah.
That's like the very war era, but this is after the war.
Gotcha.
We didn't forgive so quickly. So, but you can see this is later, and you get more color backgrounds.
Little color on the back.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and a color front as well. So later ones will be more like this style.
And I'm sorry, what year again was that? Was that like 47?
This is 46. 46.
Okay, so right near the end.
Right after, like right after the war, 1 year after. So, and show you some more. Another one. This is on a really affordable one. You can pick this up for like $100. It's like a 7.0. Like,
nice.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, this is later era. So this is like 46. So really, the ones that most people go for are the earlier ones during the war. Those are kind of the more generally harder to find, because a lot of the Canadian whites were not just destroyed because of the paper quality, but because of the war effort where they would just pulp them. Right.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
I mean, you know, we got to remember that comics during this time were considered disposable, generally speaking. So
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can pick up a lower grade copy of this for like $30.
Wow.
So, you know, it's a little, you know, it's pretty easy to find. It's not a harder one to find.
Comic tropes, just to kind of, that's a really good point. So he says that I'm not big into collecting slab comics, but it really makes sense for these fragile books. I actually, I kind of want to disagree with that a little bit, because, and only to say that there's a common misconception that slabbing is the best way to preserve comic books.
They can damage it when they put it in the slab sometimes. Yeah.
Well, and not only that, it's not like it's an archival method of preserving the book. Now, you could take your slab comic books and store it like in a humidity and climate controlled environment that will definitely massively extend the life of that. But I mean, they're putting in like a piece of paper inside that comic book that's designed to absorb some of the off-gassing. Yeah. And that's not supposed to last forever. So every once in a while, you want to get it reslabbed. You're
supposed to do it every 20 years or something like that.
Well, originally they said every 7, and now they've kind of extended that out to about that. But I would also just point out there are lots of great ways to safely preserve your comic books and store them. That, like, if you want to look at the U.S., for example, look at the Library of Congress. They offer some methods for archival procedures for preserving paper goods, including comic books. And a lot of those methods, you know, Mylar, archival style boards and bags basically are usually the way to go. Just throwing that out there. You don't have to slab your comic books, although you can for sure.
Well, the thing is, one thing that people don't realize is the slabs don't offer UV protection
at all. Yeah,
at all. Like so you got to use like Mylars to protect against the UV, and then you're pretty good. You're usually
even then definitely don't just display it within.
No, don't put it in the bright sunlight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's why, like, this room, for example, I blocked out every window that was to this room, and I keep it usually dark all the time. So
folks, if you want to check out, there's a great quality video which is actually based on a great quality Reddit post that Swaggle House Comics just put out. And I actually had seen the Reddit post before he did the video. I thought it was really great of him to highlight it. This Redditor spent a lot of time and effort taking identical copies of a comic book. I think it was a Commandy issue, a Commandi or whatever. And he took like 20 different copies, and he did different methods of like trying to detect the UV level of protection between like comic capsules or slabbing or Mylar or regular poly bags or, you know, OPP bags. And then he had a control that was just stored in a dark short box. And he did different methods of testing in direct sunlight, indirect sunlight, ambient room light. So it's actually a really good video. I highly recommend checking that out, or just searching for the Reddit post if you just want to go straight to the source.
And did you see how well each survived? And
that's terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty severe.
There's almost no method will, even if you just have a comic book in non-direct sunlight, meaning that sunlight is still getting to it, but it's not directly facing it, like in a room that sunlight can get into, it's going to fade significantly even in 6 months.
In 6 months?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, like, noticeably, right? So not necessarily like you're going to look at a bleached comic book, but you will definitely tell the difference between like he shows all the comic books beforehand. You can see the color variation is minimal, if that. And then after that 6-month period, even the ones that should have been protected pretty well, like Comic Capsule is supposed to offer really good UV protection. Like, sure, it was less faded, but it was still faded.
Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So how do you like? I mean, 6 months. That's still a short time, actually. We're trying to keep these comics for like whatever, like for our lives, right?
Yeah. I mean, really, I think the answer is if you do want to wall display or like openly display comic books, definitely make sure it's a room that doesn't have you're not opening the blinds if it does have a window, that kind of thing. Maybe you have even blackout curtains or whatever.
I have blackout
rotate.
Thick blackout things.
Yeah.
No windows, so there's
but the thing is, even and people don't understand this. I know somebody who worked for a lighting company that explains even LED lighting will still fade your comic books.
Oh, really? I thought LED was the one that was fine, but incandescent.
That's the common misconception.
Okay, I thought LED was fine, but incandescent would kill your books.
Incandescent's the worst, fluorescence the second worst, and LED is the least worst, but it still will do it at a much lower rate than sunlight, obviously. But so the real trick is to just rotate what comic books you have on display.
I try to do that a little bit, yeah.
Like every month, maybe every 2 months, something like that, depending on what they are. Yeah, and there is a really good product out there that has paid for and actually done real UV testing. That's part of the problem. And I looked into this at one point. A lot of the products that say they're UV resistant or they offer certain UV protection don't ever actually pay for the testing. They just assume the material. Well, the material is supposed to be UV resistant. There was a company called Gator Guard Cases that actually did pay for the UV testing, and it's like 97.8% of all UV light is blocked. And they had an independent lab, do that testing to prove that for the material they're using. But here's the thing. Who's to say the next batch of materials they get from overseas offers the exact same protection? Because it's expensive to do that. So they're definitely not doing it for every batch. Anyways, just collectors out there, PSA, be warned. It's one of those things.
Okay, well, got to protect your books.
Yeah, you don't want all your comic books turning into Canadian whites.
Yeah, basically. I always remember back in the day, like when comic shops were sort of on every street corner, like that kind of time period, and every comic shop would have their big store window, and they would put their best books, their very best books, in the store window.
Yeah. Well, and you'll see like giant sized X-Men's or whatever that are like basically like white, faded, right? Yeah.
Right. I think somebody should make like those glass, the plexi slabs that they put on the phone covers, but make them like UV that you can put over slabs, comic slabs.
Yeah. Oh, and I think I said Gator Guard Cases. I think the company that did it was Encased Comics is actually the company I'm thinking of that did that. Okay. Anyways, tangent aside.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, so I can show some more.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
So so another affordable one is Grand Slam Aces.
Nice.
So these are like Westerns. So Westerns obviously are not, like that desirable.
Right.
But you can see what the kind of style the Canadian books are, and you can see the back. This is more
nice red on the back of that.
It actually looks pretty cool.
It's really, really bright, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is from 1945. So you can see that they're still in that little bit less colorful backs, right? And here's another one, the 3 Aces. So there's Grand Slam. They didn't really have that many names. It's like Grand Slam Aces, 3 Aces. What was the other one? It was like Aces Comics. Like it's like they like their aces. I don't know. And we got, this is another one of these ones.
Nice.
So this is around the 46 era again.
Isn't that the same one you showed earlier?
Yeah.
No, it's
I thought you did show that one.
It's a different one. It's my dupe.
Same.
Different copy.
Oh, okay.
A different copy. Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason, I kept on finding it. I don't know. So that one is actually very easy to find. And then I'm going to show you the big one. Actually, I don't have to take it out of the plastic. This is a coverless copy, but this is the very first appearance of Nelvana.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
This is from 1941. And the guy that created Nelvana was Adrian Dingle. And basically the whole idea is it's actually funny because her main nemesis was Whitey. so
That's funny.
so she would be going up against the white guys, and yeah, it was like basically she was like a native, like almost like a spiritual, like a like a like a like a native spirit creature in a way. And her and her brother were the kind of the two main characters, but her brother, he was kind of cursed and he couldn't show himself as a human. So whenever he would appear, he would be a dog. Just kind of the weird thing. But yeah, so she would basically, white guys would be in like fishing on their like the natives' property or whatever, infringing upon their rights or something like that. And she would come in, save the day kind of thing. They later changed it when it became more about the war. They changed it to the whiteys being more the Nazis, right? So they kind of made that switch over time. But the original story is like her against the evil white guy. Evil. So it was kind of funny. And I can show you the back.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
So yeah. But this book, I was actually I kind of lucked out on this one. Originally, the guy wanted 15,000 for it.
15,000.
15,000. It's an incredibly major book for Canadian history.
Right.
There's only 4 known copies. And what happened was he decided to put it up for auction. And he did it like, with the dollar start.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
It quickly got up to like 1,000, and I threw in a bid of like 4,000 at the very last second, and I got it for 2.
Wow.
Nice.
So yeah, I was quite happy. I was like, it's much better than paying 15,000 for it. So
well, and it's the kind of thing too where you can't. There's no comps, right? So you can't like.
Yeah, it's not like you can look it up and say, oh, okay.
Can't really blame him for setting a price that for all I know, it's worth it to somebody.
Yeah, no. This is a major piece of Canadian history. It's like a hard book to find. It's like it's kind of one of the big grails in my collection.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm going to show you some. These books are not considered Canadian whites, but they're of that era, if that makes sense. These are like more the later era, like so what happened was in 1947 it was really the kind of the end of that golden age of Canadian comics.
Mm-hmm.
But then they kind of they kept on bringing back the embargo, the trade embargo between Canada and the United States, mainly because like it looked like the Canadian businesses would go out of business if they didn't kind of protect it. So there was kind of like another era between 47 and 53 where they kind of revamped it in a way. Okay. And these are from more that era, that second era, where basically the weird thing was we weren't supposed to import U.S. comics, and we weren't supposed to export even to the United States. We were supposed to keep it all in Canada. Well, some Canadian companies didn't really care. They just did it anyways. They just would export. So these ones were like Canadian comics that were exported to the U.S.
Interesting.
So this
were they also available in Canada, or
they would be available in both? Yeah.
Gotcha.
But they sort of just went around the whole thing. And these are from Superior Comics. So this is Mysteries Weird and Strange. And I kind of like it because this is sort of like, as I said, these are late 40s, like more the 49, early 50s era. Okay. So what you have is from 1947 to 1949 was sort of the high point for good girl art.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was when that sort of faded and people got interested in other things, they sort of mixed good girl into everything else. So, you get all these kind of good girlish kind of horror covers or, and,
right.
So you get that kind of thing.
It's so crazy. Like it looks like he's throwing donuts at her.
Well, I don't know what those are actually.
Just whatever.
I have no. I think it's the wheel of this wheelchair that he's in. He's in kind of like a wheelchair.
Oh, okay. I was
all right.
chucking Tim Hortons at her. It's the most Canadian thing ever.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Throws donuts at her. I don't know. It's really weird.
Have a maple one, huh?
And then I'll show you one more. This is one of my favorite. Another.
Oh wow!
This is Strange Mysteries, and this is another Superior. This is from 1953. This is obviously very late in that era.
Wow, that's really cool.
And then we
got. You have a Nelvana with the cover on it?
No.
Oh.
So actually, it was kind of frustrating. There was a guy in Australia, strangely, of all places, that had he had two things that I wanted to get from him, and we kind of worked out a deal. So one was a bound collection of Planet comics.
Okay.
And I worked out a deal, like, generally most people don't realize, but bound, once you bind the comics, really kills the value.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably if the books weren't bound, they would be worth 10 to 20,000. But because they're bound, maybe worth about 1,000 to 2,000 range. Just kills the value. Like, just they're high grade, but they're they're just a fraction of the value.
Hey, nostalgic Roblest, yes, we are live.
That's that usually is Comic Journey that does that.
Are you live?
Yeah. So what happened was I got him. I said I paid $1,500 for it, which was a fair price. And then he had this Nirvana cover one, and I said I'd do like $1,800 for the two thingies, and he was like sure. And then I don't know if he was talking to somebody else or something happened where he all of a sudden, like, I was like trying to work out how much was shipping and stuff like that, and then he all of a sudden just stopped talking to me, just ghosted me after that. So however, I think he probably did better with that, because that Nelvana cover one, I think there was a sale for 11,000.
Oh wow.
I didn't realize, like, I wasn't trying to rip the guy off or anything like that. It was like, I just didn't know. There was no comps until that sale.
Right. So those Nelvana books are pretty rare.
They're really rare and highly sought after. So, it's like, there are like collectors that specifically collect Canadian whites, and they're in, United States and in Canada.
Right.
So, they go for crazy money.
I think anybody who's into like rare, like we were talking about earlier, anybody who's into like actual rarity, like, it makes sense. Like, if you like comic books, there's a really good source of real rarity there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish I had more in my collection. I have a couple more. One's really beat. Okay, I can almost grab it. One sec here. I have to kind of grab it. It's not flat. It's in a box with some other stuff. Let's see if I can. Hopefully I grabbed the right box.
One in 50 years.
Yeah, that's crazy, Lyle. Now have you seen two technically?
Okay, I grabbed the wrong box. Okay. This is the problem. My organization skills are the worst.
I can relate.
Yeah. But the other one I have is just I think there's only one on the census. Or not even one on the census. I think it would be the one if I got it graded on the census.
Okay. Wow. So that's crazy.
Yeah. It's not like if you have these books, generally you get them graded because they're worthy of getting graded for the value. And the other one I have is kind of like one where it's a guy jumping down on some Nazis.
Well, that's
cool. It's kind of a cool one. I just couldn't find it. Like, I was looking for it. I rearranged things saying, I'm going to get organized, and then can't find it anything afterwards.
I mean, that's fair. We as collectors, we've all pretty much been there. There's like two kinds of collectors, right? There's the kind that like they have everything on a spreadsheet, like a barcode, and they know exactly where it's at. And there's everybody else. So I was going to ask you, Alan, like, I know, to me, this kind of reminds me a little bit. It's different, obviously. It has one common element, which is if you're American. This kind of reminds me a little bit of like foreign international comics. In that it's a specialized niche. It usually involves older comic books, not super modern stuff, obviously, when it comes to foreign international. for those collectors, there's some resources like some Facebook groups and stuff like that. A couple Discord servers I know about that where they like discuss like, hey, anybody have a connection here if we're trying to get this, or do you get anybody know?
There's a few big collectors.
Yeah.
That I know one in Quebec. That has like a pretty big collection of Canadian whites. That is a resource if you go out to him.
Okay.
His name is Broman, I think is.
How do you spell that?
It's Bumon, I believe.
Okay.
Broman, Buman, or
yeah, I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. It's some Frenchy thing. I don't know. So yeah, but the weird thing is he always has best offers on all of his eBay listings. And I put in a couple best offers and then he blocked me after that. So I'm kind of annoyed.
Okay.
So I can't even buy the books from him anymore. So it's kind of annoying. Yeah, Brunum.
Yeah, I would not pronounce that way. Okay.
Yeah, Brunum.
Okay. Maybe, but okay. I don't know.
Yeah. I totally butchered it, but yeah, that's the guy that I was thinking about.
He blocked you, so you got to make a new eBay account so you can keep bidding.
I actually did that and bought a couple books from him. Don't. But yeah,
I don't know anything.
Gotta have your alt accounts. So, but I guess what I was going to ask is, do you know about any like? Are there any groups? Places where you've seen like any special, like, are there CGC threads where people are really discussing Canadian whites? Or
not really. It's pretty. I haven't really seen that many. Like it's like there's just not enough information out there.
There was really when I was doing research for this, there was a CGC forum for Canadian whites.
I figured there would be at least that, because I'm sure
there's probably usually
there were some really cool robot covers. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Nice. I like a good robot.
Yeah, but the prices, if you ever look at the prices of those robot covers, for example, I've seen a few of them. They're usually not that bad, like $300 to $700 range.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you compare it to other Golden Age, that's kind of comparable. Yeah.
Right.
But
cool.
Yeah. So,
do you have any like specific Canadian whites that are ones that are on your radar that you're I mean, maybe you don't want to say if you're trying to hunt them down, they're that rare.
No. Like usually what I do is if I just see a cool, like if I see one that's like a Nazi cover, because I kind of like, those propaganda covers, I think they're kind of cool.
Well, it makes sense because it was during the kind of war era. So
yeah. I like, that's kind of what you want as a collector, or something that captures that historical era, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I like is good girl covers for the most part. So yeah, so those obviously I'd love to get a Nelvana cover,
right?
But that is probably getting a little bit more difficult. And the problem is a lot of these things, once they once they appear, they go into somebody's collection and then disappear for X number of years, right?
Exactly.
So that's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Like, oh well. It's like, so but you do see them every so often. I think Heritage Auctions actually last year had a big auction of Canadian whites, where I think they had like 40 different Canadian whites or something like that they offered.
Oh, right on. Okay, so that's a good resource to see, because you can go look at their results and see high quality scans and all that stuff. So that's really cool. That's a good resource for people.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think, like, I know there's gonna be people who are gonna watch this and they're gonna be like, how do I find out more? And I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't know if there really is like a dedicated group to it.
Yeah, the best thing to do is search, like if you go to eBay, actually, even search Anglo-American, or Bell Features.
Okay.
And then comics or CGC or something like that to kind of make it into the comic section. You can find a lot of books, and then just reach out to the people, and you can learn, people know little bits of the history, right?
Yeah.
There is like a Wikipedia page as well that is pretty in depth on Canadian whites. So there's
I just sent Bronze the link to the CGC forum in Instagram. So
I think I did see that form at one point because I remember the robot covers too.
Yeah, they have a lot of photos, which is really nice in there
Yeah.
of different covers that I had never seen before. So
yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing about the Canadian Whites, that it is you see different covers that you might not have ever seen before because they're
Yeah.
that obscure. And these are things like when one of the things that kind of defined the golden age in terms of the modern era, in terms of the collectability of it, was the Gerber photo journals, where all
Right.
of a sudden you got all the pictures and like, oh, that's it used to be, if you looked at the old like Overstreet guide, they would say numbers 1 to 10 such a price, they'd have all those kind of things but they wouldn't show the covers. So for example, Chamber of Chills 19, right? Well, that was just mixed in with issues 15 to 20 or something silly, right?
Right.
And you wouldn't know how much they were worth. A big one is Rocket Comics. Rocket Comics would they would reprint the American stuff. So what you'll find is they'll do like Rocket Comics, but it'll be like Punch Comics.
Oh, okay.
Covers and stuff there's a bunch of different ones that are like that.
There's some beautiful covers in there. I was looking at. There's one of the cool
that's
robot
a cool
ones.
one.
Awesome
Yeah.
one. Wow.
yeah, I like that one a lot. Typical robot-y kind of cover. But yeah, so what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying.
This book might be out of print.
Yeah, it might be out of print. So yeah, so the point is like with the Canadian Whites, they're not in the photo journal.
So because they're a different nationality, right? They're not a
so they're so a lot of the time it's actually about that discovery where you find something, oh, that's a cool cover, and then
it is.
And then all of a sudden, no, but that's the way Canadian Whites,
Gotcha.
that's why they're kind of collectible, where it's about discovering something that nobody has seen before. Unlike the photo journal where you might find some really rare book, but there's a picture of it and you can say, oh, look, I have that.
This is like a bound edition right here.
Yeah, it's a bound edition. So there are some advantages to bound editions where they survive a lot better because you're now protecting it.
Yeah.
But often they're trimmed and there's other issues. They'll destroy the spine as well. That's why they're usually low grade, even though they may present really well.
Those covers are so cool though.
Yeah, Active Comics. I'm not familiar with Active Comics.
It's a good question from Comic Tropes. Do you have a favorite artist from this era?
Not really, tell you the truth. There was a
quite
bunch.
The punch.
Is that Thunder Fist? That must be Thunder Fist. I read about him a little bit.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
I mean, if that's not Thunder Fist, I'd hate to.
He was one of your Canadian heroes, Thunder Fist.
Thunder Fist. I never even heard of him. This is pretty good. There's a pretty good collection here.
Yeah, I think this was pretty cool. There's a little forum thing on CGC about it.
And I did post this link into the chat earlier if anybody wants to just like bookmark this to follow along later for resources.
It seems like somebody has a pretty good collection of Active Comics.
Yeah. Dang, there's more here than I found anywhere else for sure.
Right? I was like, wow, this is a really good because I was trying to get you some pictures for the thumbnail, and then I found this. So I was like, oh wow, I should have just come here first. But
so the one that the one that I showed with Nelvana is Triumph. That's the other big title that collectors.
Yeah, I think they have some Nelvana comics in here as we scroll through. They're going to show.
Yeah,
some.
She's kind of cool looking. She has like these little wings on the side of her head and stuff like that.
Commando comics. There you go. There's a cover for you, Alan.
Yeah, the war covers. Yeah.
Oh, there's some great stuff. I think
it's cool. I've seen the Commando comics before, actually.
Okay.
That looks later.
Axis smashing war features.
Yeah, these are cool.
I want to just kind of go down and see if we have other titles too. There's a lot here.
Better comics. Better comics is important. Better Comics is where that Brock Winsner is from.
Before his wrestling career.
Yeah.
That one of Thunderfist punching the werewolf in the butt was great. There you go.
Yeah.
You know, Thunderfist, he's got his exploits. Nobody can punch a werewolf in the butt quite like him.
That's a good one. That's a nice one.
Yeah, Alan likes the
underwater
ones,
and
sharks
big fish ones. Yeah.
That's cool.
Only 15 cents. Wow, what a
Ooh,
ripoff. That's
there's
big
another
money.
one.
There's Savage Dragon right there.
Yeah, this is like prototype. Yeah.
All right.
That's a cool cover.
He's got hold on though. He's got a horse theme, or a hawk theme, but he's riding a horse.
Oh well.
That's
Animal
Brock
Man.
Windsor, right? And when you say
Brock
Brock
Windsor,
Windsor,
there we
one
go.
of the characters.
Oh, Brock
Yeah.
Windsor. See, I told you he's from Better.
Brock Windsor.
Those are so cool. I love.
Oh, there
that's
we go.
really cool. Space.
Yeah.
I love when they have the space helmets. Like,
Yeah.
those are so cool.
6.0 too. Nice.
Yeah, I mean that would be insane to find in that high grade.
I mean, some of these look like really high grade. Oh, that's a great one.
That's crazy.
That's
cool.
a really cool one.
Bing Bang Comics.
The
I mean,
Big
the
Bang
names that they
Theory.
the names that they came up with were kind of weird.
Got a Jughead back there.
It looks like Jughead, doesn't it?
Yeah. Little crown.
Got the hat.
Yep. There you go. Some more war.
Canadian paratroopers. That's cool, actually.
I feel like that net's not gonna do it for her.
Yeah, I think they're it's not going to be healthy.
Let's see here.
Hopefully,
Dime
Dime is another big title.
There we go.
Dime is where Johnny Canuck is from.
Okay. There he is, Johnny Canuck.
Yeah.
Well, that's Rex Baxter, but he's
It
mentioned on the
says
cover.
five big features featuring Johnny Canuck.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Rex Baxter. Johnny Canuck.
Yeah, Rex Baxter is another one. Yeah.
Wow, there's some great
Johnny
stuff.
Canuck.
Well, I mean, just
Bigfoot.
this. Get this one for Frank Cho.
Yes. Bronze, you made an appearance on the cover.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is actually my grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, the art they did. I mean, it's golden age art, but it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I look at it like with some nostalgia almost. Like I feel like there's sort of a quirkiness to it that is kind of cool. Like, it's sort of, you can tell it's of that era.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's
There you go.
good.
Another undersea one.
That's really cool.
I like the.
Is he?
that kind of
It looks like
dive,
some tentacle-y thing, or is that
An
seaweed?
octopus. Yeah.
Here you go, Chris. This is your tentacle attack 70.
Yeah,
79
exactly. That's all for comic tropes.
Whoa. This is one out of control stripper right here.
That's a really interesting stripping pole. Yeah.
Some more war. Okay, wow. There's so much here. Like, I feel like we just
Right.
keep
I
going all night.
mean, I was, like I said, this is a great reference for
Yeah, like all
when we
the
get down to
covers.
some Nelvana ones, so you can see the Nelvana. 'Cause those
Yeah,
are-
Yeah, it's kind of okay.
Okay,
here we
so
go.
the
There's
Captain
Captain Marvel.
Marvel, as I
Okay.
said, they got the rights and they would print it in Canada. That's Anglo-American. You'll see it's like a double A.
Right.
And that's
Okay, I saw that
Anglo-American, yeah.
right there. Oh, you guys can't see my cursor, but it's right there right above the skyline.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
And that's typically what most people think of when they think of Canadian whites.
Right.
That kind of two-toned.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was definitely seeing a lot of when
I've seen that
I
one a
searched for
few
it.
times. The one that was above that one right there. I've seen it a few
Chattanooga
times.
Ghost. There you
I
go.
almost bought a copy of it, but they wanted too much. It was.
The Mummy. That's cool.
It's a
As I said,
giant
these would be
mummy.
unique covers too. That's the cool thing.
Right. So they're not the U.S. counterpart.
No.
How many fingers does he have on that fist? He's holding back. when he's punching.
Oh
Mummy.
gosh. Oh.
It looks like he has at least 6 or 7.
6 fingers.
He's got 6. Yeah, there's five on his normal digits and then a thumb.
Okay.
Oh, well.
So AI, folks, it's been around forever. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
People always, as if artists have never drawn 6 fingers before. Inigo Montoya.
Inigo Montoya.
Yeah, he's coming for
maybe.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my mummy.
It looks like it.
You punched my mummy. This is actually the first head sketch commission cover, actually, believe it or not. It's pretty crazy. Captain Marvel in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Eh?
Yeah. That's an awesome one.
Yeah, that's cool. The one
you
man.
can see the Captain Marvel / Superman kind of
yes
crossover.
Yeah.
Right.
For
that's
sure.
Cool. Well, then punching the shell is cool.
Yeah, that's really well done.
He like punched the cone right off of it too. That's cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Oh, he's got a little demon and angel. That's cool.
That is actually pretty neat. I went by that one pretty quick, but I realized what it was. I was like, oh, that's neat. The ghost of the tower.
Oh, well, that's really, I like that.
Notre Dame.
That's good art. Keep them flying. All right.
I mean, there should really be a book that, like, kind of like similar to the photojournals that has all these. That'd be cool.
Just for the Canadian white stuff, right?
Yeah. Because they're almost lost. That is a reprint cover. That one right there.
Right.
That's the origin of Captain Marvel retold.
Yeah. Okay.
And they explain what Shazam means. It's like
Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, Mercury.
Yeah.
Little cheat sheet there for you.
Captain Marvel joins the army.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, strangely, they made the two-tone work, right?
Yeah. Like, especially with the red, like it definitely pops.
Captain Marvel president. There you
go. Okay, funny
comics. Dizzy Dawn.
Man, there's so much here. So I think we could probably spend the rest of the time just like checking this out. But I want to see.
Yeah,
I think it almost might be in
Canadian Heroes.
Canadian Heroes, no, it would be.
Take it down there to the
Triumph. You gotta find Triumph.
Okay, because I think it almost might be in alphabetical order.
Maybe
Canadian Heroes.
A lot of Canadian Heroes. Holy cow!
Oh, freelance. That I have a freelance one.
That's cool.
That's the one I have. Right there.
This one?
That's the one you have.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, where he's jumping at the. Yeah, that's cool.
That red really popped. I like that blue.
Really
that blue
cool
is
blue.
Interesting. The purpley blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indigo. Wow. It's like a wintergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot of cool.
Yeah.
Yes, great artwork. There's another undersea one for you.
That's cool. Yeah, with the is a sub.
It almost reminds me of that dolphin.
Almost looks like Hydra.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite look like the Nazi symbol. It looks more like
right. It does kind of look like Hydra, doesn't it?
Okay, so let's go past freelance here. Yeah, I think it is in alphabetical order. Grand Slam.
So you got to go quite far, and then so Grand Slam goes into Grand Slam Aces and all those ones. Like I was showing you. Joke Comics. Yeah.
Lucky.
Another one. Lucky. Actually, I have a Lucky in my collection as well.
More Captain Marvel. Wiz.
Wait, we kind of went over. Okay.
3 Aces, Grand Slam.
Spy Smasher.
Spy Smasher. Okay.
Oh, I like the green on that one for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay, so the order kind of got broken up there. It looks like maybe.
But you're you're into R's, so we just got to go S and T, and then we're good.
Spy Smasher.
Spy Smasher. Yeah. So it should be the next one, right?
Oh, that's there you go. Cool. Like underwater sharks for you there, Al.
That's a really
That's a
nice
really
one.
good one. It's even got like the.
I like how they drew the sharks and they were always sort of wonky, you know.
Yeah.
like sharks don't look like that, people.
It's like when the way they drew dinosaurs back then too. They kind of like the rounded snouts or whatever.
Yeah.
That one's good. Oh, my butt is fully asleep on this freaking dining room chair.
Okay, we're almost there. Almost there. Spy Smasher.
Did you say it was Triumph? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Triumph Comics.
Okay,
three aces.
Oh,
that was one I showed. Okay. Actually, there was like one that I showed.
Yeah, I saw the one you showed there.
It's as I said, it's pretty common. There's certain ones that are easy to find. Oh, Super Comics is Pep.
Okay.
Okay.
So these were actually reprint covers.
Archie's, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't have any Nirvana.
No,
wait, there's another page.
Next page.
There's Triumph. There we go. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
If I see the cover for number 1, I'll tell you.
There's another underwater. There you go. Oh, that's really good art on the Triumph.
There's Nirvana. You go up.
Yeah, there we go.
See how she has that little feathers?
It's like little Thor wings on the side of her head.
Yeah.
Hey, those are named. No, I'm just kidding.
So she came out before Wonder Woman. So
right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that looks like Hitler that she's jumping on top of.
Yeah, it was Hitler.
That is for sure Hitler.
That would be an expensive comic.
And then she's like unmasking a fake Nirvana, it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. There she is.
If I see the one where it sold for like 11,000, I'll tell you. Oh, no, that one.
There she is again.
This one?
That's the one.
Yeah, that.
Number
no,
12,
but it looks similar to that where she's kind of coming off the side.
Nirvana and the Ether People.
The Ether People.
Wow, that's
really
trippy.
Weird.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
Almost look like Dr. Fate back there. Oh, that looked cool. That next one with her and the dog.
Yeah.
Is that her brother? Her and her brother? Is she riding on a dog with her brother?
He's a dog. Yeah. Yeah,
right,
like that. That would be a cool one to have.
Does have the number on that one? Okay.
Look at the condition on that one. That one looks like it's in great shape.
Yeah. Oh, and that's it.
That was it for Triumph, huh? And then
darn. I mean, there's probably some other stuff that this looks like one person that posted a lot of stuff.
There's multiple pages on the forum, so yeah, a great resource for you guys if you guys want to check out more of that.
Oh, there you go.
There's your cover.
Oh, there's like 2 or 3 of those on the census of mine.
There we go. So yeah, I mean, definitely go check that out, folks. Like I said, I posted the link in the chat. There's just there's so much here. I'm actually gonna enjoy checking. I
think actually the other one that I had go up again. Is that no? It's not Spy Smasher. It's similar to the one that was below, the brownish one. It looks similar to that, but not quite. So
attorney killed in home. Captain Marvel suspected of murder. Holy moly! There's some cool stuff for sure.
Oh yeah,
amazing. Little corner of comics history that not everybody knows about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like something that you'll discover some really cool thing that you never even heard of before, right?
Absolutely.
Right, and it's like one of those things. Like you may come across, like we're up here in the Northwest, we might come across some of those at a antique store or something, that we would not even have known what we're looking at.
And the weird thing is, people don't know what they are. Yeah.
Right.
Like the cool thing about Canadian Comic Cons actually is you do see them. They get mixed in every so often. Like even the people that are selling them don't really know what they are. They're sort of like, it's sort of like, oh, I have this thing and we're not sure what it is. And if it's some like non popular thing like Western or something like that, you can get it cheap. As I said,
that's really cool. So you can kind of bargain hunt for from the uninitiated, huh?
Yeah. You just, you ask for older books, and then they'll say, "Oh, I have some stuff in the back," or.
I found this one. I had to post this one.
That's the one. That's the one. That's
okay.
the one that sold for big money.
That's in our thumbnail, I think.
So I think that was the one that was used for the stamp.
That's a really great picture. Yeah, it's pretty iconic.
It's a great picture of her, right?
Yeah. I kept scrolling. And I was like, I gotta show this one.
You gotta find it. Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
But, I mean, that's kind of cool. It gets a sense of the character. Yeah.
No, it's awesome, and I really appreciate you kind of sharing your knowledge on the topic too, because it is one of those things now where it's like I'm gonna be going around checking this out, learning about it, telling people about it. That's the fun part. Spreading that knowledge. I
consider myself an expert. I know a little bit. I've dabbled.
Right.
Yeah.
You're more of an expert than we are. That's for 100% sure. You're our at least our community expert until I find somebody better. Dang it.
Okay, great.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for kind of following along with that journey, everybody. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions or you want to check out anything Alan showed earlier, or check out stuff on his channel, the link to his channel is in our description below on this particular video. It's been posted in the live chat a couple times. Shout out to Christina for doing that most recently. Like if you enjoy checking out this kind of stuff, he's a really great resource for checking out some really cool stuff he shows off that he picks up. One of the his name on his channel is Comic Collector Geek. He definitely lives up to that, the collector part for sure. So well, I got Bronze Age nerds in my name, so I own it.
Yeah.
Big B down there, he's too cool for us. He's too McFly.
Yeah, Big McFly. I'm gonna rub his head or something.
I could put nerd or geek in my name, I guess. It's implied.
It's implied. Seeing some love from the chat here. That's awesome. Still waiting for another GI Joe live cast. That was super fun. Hey, right on, Johnny. I appreciate you shouting out the topic. We definitely will be discussing more GI Joe for sure.
We kind of like that stuff,
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Hopefully there'll be some like cool news or something we can kind of play off of that comes up with GI Joe in the future, or we can kind of do another deep dive. Hey, there you go. Was that Nakayama?
I don't know. It's the 1 in 25 variant. I don't know who did the art. I don't think it's Nakayama.
Show it again. Oh no, that's definitely okay.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Nice.
But it's still cool.
Good stuff. Yeah, this is very still cool. Very much so. Well, Alan, I don't know if you wanted to stick around for the rest of the show.
I'll head out, and yeah, I'll let you guys.
Well, thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a real treasure to have you on, man, because you were sharing some knowledge that we definitely wouldn't have had. So we appreciate it.
And Alan, make sure you check out West Coast Avengers had a recent video just like this week of picking up a collection with a bunch of black and white foreign stuff. So maybe there might be some Canadian stuff in there.
Okay,
he's gonna be selling it. So
I'll check that out. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Alan. Have a good night.
Bye.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. Super cool covers. I mean, there's some beautiful stuff.
Absolutely. And just looking at Golden Age covers in general is pretty fun.
Right.
But when it's something that's, there's a higher level of scarcity involved and all that, it's pretty cool. Huge thank you to Alan for coming on the show, Comic Collector Geek. I said it several times already, but please go give him a follow, give him a sub if you haven't already. You're not going to be disappointed if you like checking out cool comic books and rare stuff. And shout out to Big B for bringing up this topic. I think that's really awesome. Yeah, the Marvel run and GI Joe lore. Yeah, okay. Is there like a
toyed around with doing like a different thing of like a read through of the series at some point? That'll be fun.
Yeah. The idea was kind of like either we would read an issue and talk about it, or we might read a couple issues and talk about it, or something like that. Maybe it wouldn't probably be on here. I don't think it'd probably be. It's almost like its own thing,
right? Yeah, its own. GI Joe special.
Yeah, GI Joe special missions.
Yeah. B&B special missions. Big B and bronze.
Why do I feel like that would instantly get turned into something dirty?
B&B.
So let's see what else.
We just be Best Coast special missions. There we go.
Best Coast special. Yeah. Okay. That might work. We could either talk about news, or I could show off a few things I got. Why
don't you show off some things you got, and then we can do some news.
Okay.
And we should give Jay his moment in the sun too.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Put him on the spot, you know.
We like to do that. You know how we do. So picked up some stuff like I was talking about. Got this from Miss Jen. If you don't follow the EXP, this is one of the reasons I recommend following EXP, which the link is in the description below for that, because you can check out their claim sales on the channel. This is one of the ones I picked up. This is Tales of Suspense 77. It's a low grade copy, but got your first appearance of Peggy Carter, and also first Ultimo too, but or first full Ultimo. But I think most people, probably Peggy Carter is probably the bigger reason that people usually go for that. Let's see. Get my cheat sheet up here. Got the we were talking about this before the show. It's listed on my thing as the origin and second appearance of Man Thing, and the second appearance of Bobby Morse, where she finally gets named. But it's like the first appearance in a standard comic of Man Thing. Is that what you were saying, Big B?
Yeah, before, because he's in Savage Tales, which is a magazine.
Right,
yep.
Right. He's in like what, issue 2 or something, right?
1.
Oh, issue 1. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it was early, but yeah,
that's
as
cool.
Early as you can get. Very cool. Also kind of low grade, but hey, pretty fun. Hey, and then I actually, yes, absolutely. There we go. Space Cadet Collection. Space Cadets Collection is one of the local shops near me in Texas. Yeah, it's a shop that's been around for, I think, like what, 25 years or something like that. But this is actually, this is one of the ones I did not get from Jen. I got this from the Dynamic Forces show on Wednesday nights on the EXP. This is I have a bunch of Marvel 2-in-1. I got a huge run of it from West Coast Avengers up at Washington State Comic Con, and I've kind of filled in some. It was missing most like the key issues because it was in kind of, I think it's dollar bin or whatever. And so I've kind of been grabbing some of the keys, and they had it's got a lot of like ink staining on it, that blue
overspray kind of
thing. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape. But I didn't have issue 1, so I figured it's weird to have like the first, like 95% of the first 50 issues and not have number 1. So I may as well get that to add in there. I'll
have to show it to you sometime. But I have an X-Men second appearance of the Blob.
Yeah,
it's probably like a 9.4 or 9.6, except it's got purple overspray that drips all the way down the cover.
Gotcha. Oh, wait. Are you being serious? Is it really Space Cadets?
I'm dead serious. It's Space Cadets Collection. They also have a place, the gaming side was called Space Cadets Gaming.
Oh, do you know the origin of like doing the double name?
Not a clue.
Okay. And then I grabbed this from Dynamic Forces as well. That's what, 44? FF44, First Gorgon. It's got some pretty bad foxing, but yeah, it was a good price, so had to grab that. And then, oh gosh, I'll go through the stuff pretty quickly because I don't want to, just show off a ton of things. But I did get some key Jim Starlin, Captain Marvel. Got issue 32, but the one I really wanted to show was issue 33. That's the origin of Thanos.
Oh, that's a great cover.
Yeah, and I've got a first appearance of Thanos, Iron Man 55. I kind of thought, yeah, I should complete that.
Awesome. I
got a bunch of great, like 4 or 5 great.
Origin of Thanos is like what, when a mommy Titan and a daddy Titan love each other very much.
You know it. I got some other great Fantastic Four books. These are all going to be from Space Cadet now. This one is the first John Byrne. It's also the first Herbie.
There you go.
In a newsstand. It's got some spine roll, but other than that, after press, it'd be in pretty good shape. Herbie's obviously going to be in the new movie, so that's a thing a lot of people care about because, you know, no, I thought it was cool. First John Byrne, I thought that was neat. I guess so. I got a lot of Man Thing, obviously, but this is not just the first Man Thing. Not first Man, first premiere issue of this series of Man Thing, but it's actually the second appearance of Howard the Duck.
Oh,
that's kind of its claim to fame. So it's actually a relatively desirable issue for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a cool book.
Yeah. And then I got a ton of like first Condiment King. I got a ton of Birds of Prey books, the Greg Land stuff. I got a bunch of the Ed Benes stuff. But I also got a couple other DC books, and I'll kind of show off the big two from this run, which I'm complete on all the issues I want. I don't have every Adam Hughes Catwoman cover, but I have all the ones that were desirable to me, which is, I think I probably have like 20 of them or so. This is the second hardest to find one.
There you go, baby.
Gorgeous red cover.
Woo. I talked you into it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where I figured at that point, that was the only other Adam Hughes cover I didn't have that I still wanted. So it's like, why not just have them all? Like,
right.
Again, I could literally go and get I think all the other ones I want are they're basically cover price books. I think there's the one where she's like pushing the baby carriage, which I had at one point and sold because I don't think it's that special of a cover, stuff like that. But this is the big one for most people right here.
That's a big one.
Catwoman 51. In very, very, very high grade too. Both those last books.
That's awesome.
So shout out to Miss Jen over at Space Cadet Collection. It's gonna take me a while to get used to saying that. But then I got one other book. You know, I mean, I got some other great Catwomans here too. Like there's the nice bondage cover. But I got one other book that's worth showing. I mentioned it was a big Dave Stevens key.
I'm sure nobody would object to seeing Adam Hughes, you know.
Or Dave Stevens, right? So this was the last big one I needed.
There you go. Ooh, 9.6.
It's 3D Zone 16, and it's a 9.6, which, so shout out to a friend of mine that I've run into a lot. He's a viewer of the channel. He introduced himself to me at a show, and ever since then, every time we see each other at shows, we always talk. He's usually vending. Chris from Forager Comics, based out of Oregon. He actually grabbed one of these from a collection, and he got it graded, and it came out 9.8. If you don't know, a 9.8 for this comic book goes for about $2,000. And he, you know, I kind of toyed around. I'm like, hey, would you consider selling? He's like, I'm gonna get it graded, and because it was really hard grade. He should get it graded, and he did, and he got a 9.8, which is awesome. If you're looking for a 9.8 of that, hit up Forager Comics over on Instagram. He might still have it. But you know, we kind of both admitted that's probably out of my price range. This is a testament to just if you're following on eBay and you want to just make an offer to somebody, sometimes they accept.
Right.
And that's what I did here. Got it for a great price, well below FMV. I couldn't be happier. There are a couple. I don't have like the I call it the Sabrina cover, but I forgot what it is.
With the witch on the broom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or she's kind of like she's kind of got her hands up in the air.
Right.
I blanked on it. But yeah, anyways, there's a few covers like that I don't have. I don't have the DNA Agents, a few others. None of them are super expensive books. I don't have the Cheval Noir.
The Elvira, or not the Elvira, the
House of Mystery.
All the homages to what's her name? The Dave Stevens model. I can't think of her name. Betty Page. All the Betty Page covers.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, it's like the big ones are the Planet Comics, 3D Zone. Actually, this is the back cover that actually ended up as being a cover on a book too. That was a big one for me. It's Vanguard Illustrated 2, I think. That ended up being the cover for that. I actually really like that art. Like, cause really it's all the same book, but it never got to be on the front. His Rocketeer stuff, all the stuff that I really liked, right? Shovel Noir #1, all those things. I have all that stuff, so that's what I cared about. There are a couple rarer pieces, rare finds from him. Like he has like I think it's like a sketchbook collection he did that has a really kind of cool following. A couple of things like that I need to find, but for the comics, the strictly comic books, I got it pretty much mostly covered now.
I got to I never actually talk to him or anything, but I got to actually see him at Portland shows.
Really?
Back in the day, but cool. I never really. It was like, oh, that's pretty cool art,
it is interesting. Like, I just was not. I'd seen a few of his pieces, like his Airboy Valkyrie cover. I remember seeing that and thinking it was really cool, but I didn't know it was Dave Stevens. I just thought that's a cool cover, and I'd seen the Planet Comics cover in the 90s at some point and thought, oh, that's really neat. But it's just one of those things where I wasn't tracking that this was the same artist I was seeing over and over.
Right.
And it wasn't until maybe about 8-10 years ago that I even learned that those were all by Dave Stevens.
Right.
And then
the Johnny Quest cover, that's a great cover.
Yeah. I've got that. I love that one too. I've got that one. But
I think I have a convention flyer from the year I graduated high school. I did a show in Portland, had a table, but I was looking at it the other day, and it's in my little stuff from the year I graduated, and I'm looking through, and I go, "Oh, there's Dave Stevens was at that show."
That's the one you had.
Write up a bio about Dave Stevens and some of his artwork in it. I was like, "Oh,
that's the show where you printed off a comic, right? Like you printed off a couple comics."
Yeah, I did several. Actually, I have those sitting somewhere right near me. But
nice.
I did 3 different books in high school, printed them and sold them at shows.
Right on. You could say you were vending right alongside Dave Stevens?
I was vending my art right next to Dave Stevens, right?
So I do want to make sure, thanks for indulging me, everybody. I showed off all my junk. I do want to make sure we cover a couple news things. Here, let me get that shared so we can. Sorry, I didn't realize you were doing that. I was looking at something else.
No, okay. This is my art that I was showing next to Dave Stevens.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen it all before, but I think it's cool, man.
Yeah, that was fun. It's part of my history. My origin story.
So yes, I did see the Jessica Court cover. But she does some really cool stuff. She's worth a follow on Instagram too, because I can't remember if she usually posts before she throws it up on some of the Dynamic Forces shows, but definitely go check out her stuff too. Good artist. That's the Catwoman 51 homage. But before we talk about news, we have to show this real fast. Yeah, sorry. Quick costume change, everybody.
On news.
So
our first story.
I'm going with the biggest stories first, just in case we kind of run out of time here a little bit. This was going to be the biggest news story up until today, because Alliance decided not to go ahead with their purchase of Diamond. So for those keeping score, Diamond went to Chapter 11. There was a kind of almost sort of like an auction almost to figure out who would gain control of Diamond. And then Alliance was the top bidder. And then Diamond said, no, we want to go with a split deal between the second and third highest bidder, and they're going to split up the company a certain way. We'd rather do that. And then Alliance sued Diamond and said, no, you have to honor the agreement. And the court went with them and said, yes, you have to honor the agreement. And now they're terminating their purchase agreement. Like I said, this was going to be the newest addition to this news story, but I'm not even going to bother going into it because now we have to talk about this shenanigans. And so after all that, this is, by the way, go check out ICV2 for the sources on these. This is Bob Selkowitz wrote this article entitled "Living in Exciting Times." So throw the final fate of Diamond comic distributors onto the growing pile of things that folks in the comic industry don't know and don't control about the business environment. So the Alliance agreed to buy it, and now they backed out. And the latest follow-up is that there have been court papers filed to convert it from a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is kind of like a restructuring is the easiest way to say that, to Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is folding and selling off, your assets to pay your debts, basically.
Wow.
Now, as I understand this is not final. Of course not, because nothing gets to be final with this Diamond stuff, right? But this is basically like, I guess, according to the wording in this and another article I read, they basically have to immediately file some paperwork to prevent this from happening right away. That's how I understand it. I don't, as not being a lawyer, this is pretty dense stuff to me, and I don't really understand all the ins and outs of it. Somebody who's a comic retailer in my Discord was posting some interesting theories, saying like they wondered if there was some kind of shenanigans going on here, with Diamond maybe not fully disclosing everything so that the sale would go through. I'm not saying that's what happened. It is an interesting, tinfoil hat kind of a theory in that person's own words. That person was the reason that I bring that up actually is because that person said that they were able to do orders on Diamond this morning for FOC through some of the publishers that are still going through Diamond. So obviously they're still operating. This is nuts.
How weird.
Like, I thought this was over like 3 news stories ago.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, it's bonkers. I was just thinking about it today. I had this sweet little old lady who was in finance with Diamond who would always talk to me when I had my shops, Maria. And gosh, my best wishes to Maria. She was a sweet little old lady who always talked to me about her cats. And I was like, gosh, I hope nothing bad happened to her for her job because of all of this. I'm sure something it affected. It's weird. You don't think about how everything trickles down and affects people. Yeah, on an individual basis, even. So
absolutely. This is another article from ICV2, by the way, it's more about the nuts and bolts of the situation. And I just want to read this paragraph right here because it helps kind of add some context. Why is that not updating on the share there? I'm going to try removing that and adding it back.
It's the same one?
Nope. I see what I did here. I see what I did. Sorry. Give me 1 second. Here we go.
That's the one.
So Diamond can, actually that makes it worse. Diamond can avoid the consequences requested by the trustees' motion if they can show that converting is not in the best interest of the creditors. That means converting from Chapter 11 to Chapter 7. Or they can show that a plan will be confirmed within a specified time frame, or it can show that their failure to file reports had a good reason and will be cured. So that this comes down to the trigger for this was that Diamond failed to file essentially a motion within the court for January, February, or March to show their operating reports, their monthly operating reports, to basically show their kind of their profit and loss, basically, I think is kind of how that works.
Right.
And so that's kind of where, when I was mentioning the thing earlier about a retailer saying that this wasn't really operating in good faith, potentially, allegedly, is probably the correct way to say that in these times. That's kind of where this is coming from. So you have to wonder, like, is it they were just too busy trying to save the company? Maybe. Is there another reason why they might fail to disclose their monthly operating reports for those 3 months? Possibly. Yeah. But that is pretty much key information, and that might help explain why Alliance backed out.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're in the middle of buying something, you want to know what the current valuation is and what's going on and what you can expect as far as business going forward. So,
and to put a little bit of editorial on this, but based on what I could find out, I would say Alliance was never in it for the comics, from what I could tell. And so they probably had a very like specific interest in seeing what the finances were, because they had to figure out, okay, so for this to be worth it, we have to pay off their debtors,
right.
Or their creditors. I guess they were the debtor. We have to pay off their creditors to make sure that, because they're gonna own that debt at that point. And if they don't like the financials based on one part of the main part of the business that they don't really care about that much, it makes sense they wouldn't want to move forward with it. Or if they didn't get access to that information to begin with. So,
I mean, who wants to buy something that they don't know all the particulars on, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It'd be like, yes, you can buy this car. Yes, this is the price on the car. Okay, let me look under the hood. No.
Let me see that. You can see the front of the card, but you can't see the back of it.
I'll show you the mechanics report from 3 years ago.
Oh, car. I thought you said card. Yeah.
Oh.
Same, even worse. Car. You can't look under the hood.
Show me the
squirrel in a squirrel cage under there running everything.
Show me the car facts. Show me the comics facts. Oh, right. Wait. That's a good idea.
Comics facts.
This comic had mild restoration in 2019.
So was cleaned and pressed.
It's really weird stuff, man. Like, it's been a roller coaster. I think a lot of people are kind of sick of it, but also it looks like Diamond is on the ropes to me.
Yeah. Well, they've been on the ropes for a while, I think.
Right. But it almost looked like maybe they would get saved by the bell and get another round or something like that. But
right.
That's not looking so good now.
Right.
So no one in chat's really kind of going off about that. So I'll move on. And if anybody does have anything you want to dissect over that, let us know. I thought this was cool. Dynamite occasionally comes out with this like flurry of press releases, and it's really kind of fun. One of the ones that came out was about a Fantastic Four crossover with the Gargoyles, which is pretty cool.
That's interesting.
I always like it when properties outside of two companies cross over, for one thing, but also when they're kind of weird. But I actually can see this.
Interesting crossover.
Yeah. So this is going to be, let's see, there was the Gargoyles Fantastic Four crossover special in October. It will be released in October. The project is teased in Dynamite's offering for this year's Free Comic Book Day on May 3rd, which is called Gargoyles Demona Zero. It's pretty interesting. So that's kind of the time frame. I want to see the creators. It's a special one-shot crossover written by Gargoyles creator Greg Weisman and artist George Cambadias, I'm going to go with on that one, and letterer Jeff Eckelberry. The original creative team on Dynamite's first Gargoyles series. There's kind of a little, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I love the art style.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, and then there you go. There's a little bit of a shot of them meeting, presumably for the first time. Jay says, both had cartoons, both have comics, but only one has 5 movies. Where's my Gargoyles movie, you cowards?
Right.
I agree. Gargoyles could be a fun, or a fun like series, even like a live action series. So there are covers for the project from Lucio Perillo, Mark Bagley, and Amanda Connor have been announced. That's pretty cool. There's also I was watching a really cool episode of Industry Insiders over on the EXP where they were talking to a couple X-Men creatives, and there's going to be a really cool backup. I think it's in the Fantastic Four Free Comic Book Day. There's a backup X-Men story featuring Cyclops.
Oh,
which I thought was pretty neat. And apparently Cyclops is like their favorite character. I asked in the chat if you could have any character have their own solo title that doesn't have one already, who would it be? And they both said Cyclops. I was like, okay, these guys check out. I think these guys are straight shooters. I think they even said Rogue was their second, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm right there with them.
All right.
And it's gonna be neat. It's gonna basically be a giant size X-Men. I don't know if you call it a prequel or an interstitial, but it's gonna be when Cyclops gets introduced to the new giant size X-Men team.
Right.
There's gonna be a story where right before they introduce him as Scott Summers in that panel. Before that scene, right before that, it's going to be him outside fighting all of them and showing them like what a real X-Men is, basically.
Oh,
which it sounds cool to me.
Yeah.
So speaking of Free Comic Book Day, I wanted to mention that we're checking out.
Sounds like a Bronze Age nerd must have.
Exactly, dude. And that's gonna be kind of a little bit of a lead into their giant size X-Men featuring Miss Marvel. Kamala Khan, which is a special coming out a little bit later on. So pretty neat. Don't really have anything to show for that, but if you want to check out that interview, that was last Tuesday's Industry Insiders on the EXP. Last news story. Oh, go ahead.
I said, bless you.
It was actually a cough, but it was like I ran out of water, so just a dry mouth. That's all I am. Just a dry mouth.
Just a dry mouth.
Last news story I pulled was kind of an update. There was news that we had been so overtime on shows that which was great because we were covering our main topic and stuff, but we didn't talk about Grant Morrison returning to DC, which was something that a lot of people have been kind of asking for or excited to see if it's ever going to happen again.
Right.
So Grant Morrison has announced that they're returning to DC. The speculation was that it might be for a Superman project, but they confirmed in an interview that it will actually be a Batman quote. It's not Superman, but it's a Batman thing. Which Batman, Grant had a really cool run on Batman that I really liked. I think a lot of people did. Kind of introduction of Damian and everything. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to see what that ends up looking like if we get more details down the road. But it was kind of cool to get that update and confirmation of what it will be. Also saying it's a Batman thing, like it doesn't sound
vague.
Well, it doesn't sound like, Grant's going to take over writing the ongoing Batman series. It sounds like it's going to be more like a special project.
Right.
Just based on that wording anyway to me. So, but yeah, that's the news stories I had.
Very cool.
Did you have anything that I like failed to pull that we needed to talk about or anything? Or
no, I think some things that were like mostly rumors that I've sent you that I thought were interesting.
Was it like movie and casting stuff or?
Yeah, it was movie and casting stuff. Okay. Most of them I usually try to send you only if they have like a source.
And that's just because I'm a crotchety old man about it.
No, you've given me there's so many rumors out there. So yeah, I usually try to send you stuff that's like source that has
that's just me being like jaded and cynical because it's like I get so tired of like hearing about them and then having them never materialize.
Rumored casting or a lot of that kind of stuff. So
unfortunately, I wish that wasn't the case. It'd be way more fun if it was more reliable.
Hey, I thought of something I bought this week. I bought a mask.
Oh, dude, good point. Do you have that? Has that come yet?
It hasn't showed up yet.
Do you want to wait till it shows up?
Yeah, I should probably wait till it shows up. But it was interesting. I'll talk about it. Yeah, I would. I was like, it was in a video. I was like, he's like, does anybody need one of these? Reach out. I'm like, can't type fast enough.
Now, was it found at like the bottom of like a river or a bay, and it was like enchanted and cursed?
Actually, I think Scooby-Doo pulled it off of a villain.
Oh,
Old Man Jenkins.
Scooby-Doo pulled off a villain. I was going for my New Zealand accent, and that turned into much more of a Cockney accent.
We'll wait and show it.
Hammer pulled you off.
Should be here by next week. We'll show it off.
I've got a couple things. I was actually kind of hoping I'd have a couple things to show off this week that are delayed in shipping. And I'm keeping them a surprise. I'm not even telling you about it. No, actually, it's not true. You know about one of the things. You know,
I have one that I should have had today, but I don't have it yet. So I have a number of things to show off next week.
Ew.
Ew.
So I've had such a busy week, folks. I had intended to create a community art. Oh wait, we still have one. That's right. Never mind. It's our outro that I still need to make a new one for. Thanks.
You got to make a better one.
Because what happened is, so we'll peel back the beard here a little bit. You can kind of see behind the beard curtain. Baby made a great one, but it was pretty long, and I was like, well, if we're gonna try to end the show, like, it's kind of a lot for people to sit through. But he showed off a lot of great art. I think that'd be fun to do, like, to post to social media to show off some of the art people have sent in.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, can you shorten it up? He just basically sped it up, so that's the video part just got sped up, right? So it goes pretty quick. But hey, we wanted to showcase your artwork, which is what we're about to do.
Right.
So I'm going to go through some of the community artwork that was shared with us this week. Folks, if you want your artwork shared on the show, all you got to do is send it in to Bigby, send it in to myself. You can email us. A lot of contact information is in the description, and we will happily share it as long as we think it's appropriate for the show. And we can censor it if it's something that's, just needs some minor censoring or whatever. I don't know why I automatically went to the chest, but hey, I did.
This
is from Comics Limited, which is our friend Travis. Did an awesome job on this. He started this a while ago and just finished it, right? Is that kind of how it went?
I think so. This is I don't even think this is the final,
right? Because he still has to do the corner, the box.
Yeah, I think he did finish it up. I just didn't have the final photo.
Gotcha. We might show off the final product if we get that to show you guys, but I know we saw this at one other stage of completion, so it's getting closer to done. Very good work, Travis.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah. This is from Eddie Rodriguez. So this is actually Baby pointed this out. This is 9 different pieces on sketch cards.
Yep.
Kind of stitched together there. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know Eddie's I think Eddie's selling those, so if you guys want to reach out to him on Instagram, he is selling those sketch cards.
I like the eyes on the Vampirella quite a bit, like underneath the bangs. It just kind of works.
Yeah, I really like that one. I like the Gwen a lot.
Gwen's good. Death is good.
Red Sonja, I really like a lot. Yeah, they all look great.
Death is maybe a little more well endowed than I remember.
Yeah,
just kind of saw that.
Not complaining, but
no, I mean, that's fine. That's cool. Good job, Eddie. Good job, Eddie. This is from Elliot Wright. This is dope. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool,
man. Good art there.
I barely got to see this before the show started. Excuse me, before the show started. That's cool. Looks like there's some cool fabric work on the where the fabric's pulling on his back.
Yeah.
That's smart. And then on the knee. That's good.
Yep.
Wow. I like that a lot.
Good work, Elliot. And I think if you reach out to Elliot on Instagram, I think a lot of those covers he's selling too that we show. So
yeah, it's the eyes. And then this is from Rich Stankey. Wow. Man, that is haunting.
Good stuff, buddy. Good stuff.
I can't believe that he did a portrait of you, Big B. That's crazy.
Yeah, I had to sit for a long time.
Yeah,
I got still for that.
At least he smiled. That's the important part. No, I'm just playing. Were you a fan of did you read the book or watch the movies?
I watched the movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Did you watch the old Tim Curry one?
I think actually that's probably the one I'm the most familiar with. I think I watched the first one of the new ones. I haven't watched the second one.
Okay. I really like the book. There is one everybody talks about. There's one really disturbing scene in the book that just does not. I don't know if it doesn't age well or if it just never was good and I didn't read it till I was older. Yeah,
is that the group thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't got to see that. Beep beep Bigby.
Yeah, for the record, that was Jay. So it goes through like all our channels. So I try to highlight the EXP one to kind of show it's from Jay, but I misclicked. Wow,
yeah,
that's
I heard
real
some
good.
people talking about that didn't age very well. That was,
But it's weird to think that it ever wasn't a big deal.
right.
I'm not even going to talk about it. I was going to explain it for a second. I'm not going to do it.
No, if you want to, just look it up.
If you want to have a disturbing evening and probably not sleep very well, especially out of context, like in the book, it's sort of in context, I guess. Google stand controversy, or not stand, Stephen King controversy, controversial scene, group scene, something like that. That's not my friends and I stay connected.
Yeah, well, what can I say?
Man, I hope next week I have a new chair to sit in.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you and your posterior.
It's just a very hard dining room chair. It's great for a meal. It's not so great for a 2-hour.
I'm thinking about when we went and had Indian food, and we were both sitting there for a while. We're like, we need to go somewhere else.
Oh, we had Thai. Yeah, it's yeah, those chairs were not made for a long after meal conversation.
Right. We need to go to a coffee place that has cushy chairs.
So I was gonna say, do we know our topic for next week? We finalized it, right?
Yeah, it was gonna be artist spotlight on John Byrne, right?
Yeah. And I think specifically we're gonna mostly focus on the art, probably. I mean, we can talk about the writing a little bit too, but
yeah,
it's easier to show off the art and kind of talk about the evolution there and influences and stuff like that.
I was watching something from somebody today. They were talking about him doing when he was doing Namor, he was doing triple duty. He was doing art, writing, and inking on Namor.
He did that. He did that on a couple issues of I think it was FF.
Yeah, he actually did. Yeah, did that a lot on FF, and he did, I guess, a lot for DC too. Wonder Woman and Superman. So again, he really was into doing all of it.
You're a booty guy. Build up Well, trust me. Everybody who sits in these chairs, it was a cheap dining room set we bought. It's not even like a full dining room table. We just kind of used it to fill a need. But kind of bonus viewing homework, and it's friend of the channel, so I don't mind recommending it. I recently rewatched Comic Tropes' video on John Byrne, and kind of his career trajectory. It was a very interesting watch. I've seen it a couple times now, and I highly recommend watching that before you come to our show.
Great video.
Yeah, most of his are stellar, of course.
I was just gonna say almost everything that I can't say that I've seen a bad Comic Tropes video. So
yeah, the only thing, the only thing I could say is if you watch a lot of his newer stuff and you go to his older stuff, you see a progression. But I love the camp and charm of his older stuff anyway. So. But definitely consider going to watch that if you're looking for something else to watch. Producer Jay is also Hydra Asylum Comics. I'm gonna let Jay come on, audio or whatever if he wants to. If you do anything you want to promote, or anything you have coming up for Hydra Asylum, or anything's come out recently.
Yeah, my wife, my buddy, and I, we're Hydra Asylum Comics. We have a live every Saturday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. This past week, I had friends of the EXP, Mr. Nope, Eddie, Triple B stopped in, Fable from One Collection Down popped in for a little bit. We're kind of do a drop in, drop out thing. So again, open invitation to y'all. If y'all ever bored on a Saturday night and can join, just let me know.
Cool.
We did a what shows and comics were canceled too early, and which ones weren't canceled, soon enough. And we actually had more TV shows on the list than we did actual comics. Like for comics, I had Sideways was canceled too early. I love that character.
Yeah.
We had Freaks and Geeks for TV shows.
Good one.
For canceled too soon, I wasn't a big, or not soon enough. I wasn't a big fan of the America Chavez comic. So that's just me.
Yeah.
And for shows, as much as I loved Smallville probably could have cut maybe a season or two out.
They could have tightened it up.
It condensed it, because the thing about Smallville is, yes, it's 10 seasons. Not every episode is a banger, but there are things that they put in those episodes that are weak that pay off like 2 or 3 seasons later.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was smart writing on that part. But yeah.
Did Arrow or Flash come up at all in that list?
Arrow did.
Okay.
Arrow, to me, again, that was another one that it could have been shortened.
Yeah.
But also they had a problem with like season 4, I believe, is when they wanted to use characters and they had written storylines for it. And DC was like, no, don't use that character.
Yeah.
We might be making a movie. So it really messed up a lot of what was going on there.
Right.
But this Saturday, not sure yet, because if I get to, we're going to be seeing Thunderbolts that I'm really excited for.
Nice.
Really excited. I've been hearing great things about Thunderbolts. I think it's going to be a sleeper hit, personally.
Yeah.
But
same.
So yeah, come and hang out. It's real chill. There's not really it's not structured like this show is. It's basically whatever I think of, or if the chat, we go on so many tangents, it's unbelievable. But it's a fun
And we
show.
never do that here.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. But I want to leave y'all with this, and we can answer this on next week's show. What are some TV shows and comics you out there think were canceled too soon or not soon enough?
There we go.
There you go. I'd love to hear your opinions. If you put them in the respective whatever stream you're watching on, if you put them in the chat, we can try to collect those responses and we can get them pulled aside for next week. Or if you just want to come to the next week's live stream chat, you can tell us in there. We'd love to hear about it. That's a great topic.
Yeah, put them in the comments. That'd be awesome.
I think we had something that was pretty similar in our hopper of like ideas. So maybe we'll even like come back to that topic
Piggyback on that. Yeah.
Yeah. With not only the Hydra Asylum takes, but also what the chat comes up with. And then that link is in the description, in the live chat, I should say. So go check out Hydra Asylum Comics on YouTube if you want another great comic book YouTube channel to watch. Thanks for sharing, Jay. Big B, do you have anything coming on? Anything? Well, I know you just did those 2 collection videos.
Did 2 collection videos, and I did like a 6-minute. It's like every cover of The Simpsons, like 1 through 245, which is pretty cool. I didn't realize how many great homage covers they did, so that was pretty cool.
Lot. Kind of almost, I don't want to say pioneers, but it's kind of like Mark Spears before Mark Spears.
Yeah.
Or any of those other great homage things that happen.
Yeah, they did.
Cool.
I mean, there's like a couple for the Superman Flash race, and
yeah,
there's just a ton of them. So great homages.
He's also got some great shorts too. I think the longer video that shows all the covers is probably more watchable in one sitting, but he's done some really great shorts too. If you're not watching Big B shorts, he does some awesome ones.
I kind of got a little carried away with doing those because they've been getting a ton of watches. So
nice.
I'm like, all right, well, I can. Great. So I'm going to probably go ahead and do like a Futurama one pretty soon. Start mining the Futurama covers and a lot of the Bongo stuff. I'm going to start.
Could do Rick and Morty after that.
Rick and Morty be a great one. Yeah.
Nice. Quick. I don't know how many people are going to check out this part of it, but I'll say I had so much stuff going on this week. I apologize. There was no top 5 not to buy. I had a couple just kind of real life stuff get in the way. I plan on recording one tomorrow, and it'll either go up tomorrow or Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. You'll have some more content coming from me, and I've got a few videos that I talked about last week. I kind of teased as we doing some things. Those all got pushed aside when I couldn't even get my weekly content out. So there's some things that are coming, but just got to be patient. I'll make you wait for it. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody.
Worth the wait.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks for watching, everybody. I think it was really fun. Again, shout out to our guest earlier, which was Alan, the Comic Collector Geek. His channel is in the description if you want to go check that out. He was a great resource, and seriously, he's always pulling out amazing comic books to check out. One of the best show off awesome book channels out there by far. So definitely check him out, and we'll catch you in the next one where we're talking about John Byrne. Have a good night. Have a good week, everybody.